In the early months of 2011, the Arab world found itself in the midst of an unprecedented wave of uprisings. From Tunisia to Egypt, Libya, Yemen, and Syria, millions of people took to the streets. They were demanding an end to decades of authoritarian rule, corruption, and social injustice. This revolutionary wave would later be known as the Arab Spring, a moment in history that reshaped the Middle East and North Africa. The first domino fell in Tunisia. In December 2010, Mohamed Bouazizi, a street vendor, set himself on fire in protest after years of harassment by local officials. His tragic act became the spark that ignited the revolution. Within weeks, the streets of Tunisia were filled with angry citizens, demanding the resignation of their president, Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, who had ruled the country with an iron fist for 23 years. On January 14, 2011, Ben Ali fled the country. The people had won, but it was just the beginning. Inspired by Tunisia's success, Egypt rose next. On January 25, 2011, tens of thousands of Egyptians flooded into Cairo's Tahrir Square, calling for the removal of their own president, Hosni Mubarak, who had been in power for nearly 30 years. For 18 days, the square became the epicenter of Egypt's revolution. Despite violent crackdowns by security forces, the protesters remained resilient. On February 11th, Mubarak resigned, marking another historic victory for the Arab Spring. But not all uprisings followed the same path. In Libya, protests quickly turned into armed conflict. Muammar Gaddafi, who had ruled for over 4 decades, responded with brutal force. As the violence escalated, NATO intervened in support of the opposition. After months of fighting, Gaddafi was captured and killed in October 2011. Libya, however, was left deeply fractured, and the chaos that followed plunged the country into civil war. In Syria, the situation was even more complex. Peaceful protests in March 2011 were met with deadly force by President Bashar al-Assad's regime. What started as a call for reform soon spiraled into a bloody civil war, drawing in regional and global powers. The conflict has now lasted over a decade, causing immense human suffering and displacing millions. Syria stands as one of the darkest chapters in the Arab Spring. Yemen also witnessed the rise of protests leading to the resignation of its longtime president, Ali Abdullah Saleh, in 2012. However, Yemen's revolution, like others, descended into violence and chaos, resulting in a brutal civil war that continues to this day. Among the nations that experienced the Arab Spring, Tunisia remains the success story. After Ben Ali's fall, Tunisia transitioned to a democracy, holding free and fair elections and adopting a new constitution in 2014. While the road has not been without challenges, Tunisia stands as a beacon of hope for the region. The Arab Spring was a powerful moment of defiance and hope. It exposed the deep frustrations of millions living under oppression. It showed the world that change is possible, but also reminded us of the dangers that can follow. Today, the region continues to grapple with the consequences of these uprisings. Some nations have found hope, while others remain trapped in cycles of conflict and instability. A decade later, the spirit of the Arab Spring lives on, in the hearts of those still fighting for a better future. This is the legacy of the Arab Spring, a story of revolution, resilience, and the ongoing struggle for dignity and freedom.